Get your sketchbooks out, get your pens, get your pencils, because we are doodling today. So if you find yourself in a little bit of a creative rut, you don't really know what to draw, or you haven't drawn in a while, or you really want to be good at this, but you just find that there's absolutely no hope. Okay, well, I'm going to try to help you change that. I like to approach drawing with the mindset that let's draw something loosely at first, and then let's form it into something later. Now, typically, that's a good way to go. I used to be really hesitant about that because I would want to put in a lot of detail at first because I already had the idea in my head. And then I realized over the years, as I kept doing that, by the way, I don't even, this weird thumbnail coming out here, it's just a little creature, and I think it's probably just going to be like a bird creature, maybe chilling out on the ground. I don't know, maybe a lizard. But anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, so I used to be really hesitant about doing thumbnail sketching, basically because I already knew what I wanted to do, and I didn't feel the need to start putting in some more ideas. And the more I started doing thumbnails, and especially the more I started to do client work, and the deeper I got into university and school internships, I started to realize the power of thumbnail sketching. And the biggest thing, the biggest takeaway that I have from thumbnails is that it's okay to fail, and it's okay to have things that aren't pretty at first, but have the potential to be pretty and awesome later on. And I've mentioned this before in a lot of the videos, but I just want to keep mentioning because, you know, you, the viewer out there, those of you new artists that are strolling into my channel for the first time ever, because the algorithm brought you here, welcome for one thing, but two, you probably have never even attempted thumbnailing before. And those of you that are some industry veterans and you know what I'm talking about, maybe you just haven't done this in a while and you kind of feel out of touch. Okay, I get that feeling too, because there's sometimes when you really want to draw. You really, really want to draw. And you don't suck at it. And you know you don't suck at it. But you just can't find the mental bandwidth to walk over to your closet and get that sketchbook that has been collecting dust for 3.5 months. Or more. Sometimes a year. I've talked to folks, you know, I've helped mentor people that used to draw in high school and they're in their 50s and they haven't touched a sketchbook since then. And those are always fun lessons to give because it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much to really invigorate and bring back that spark that you once had. You know, think about what makes you like art so much. For me, it's very therapeutic. It's my escape. It always has been. I've been drawing since I was 4 years old, and that was my decision to. And I didn't stop. Even when I became a teenager, and usually teenagers find new interests and, you know, they get new friends and all of that. Heck, I just kept drawing. I just kept drawing and drawing and drawing, drawing on my homework, drawing on days when it was sunny outside because I loved it. You know, and I think all of that added up. And it's not just with drawing either. It could be with playing an instrument, it could be with playing football. But the point I'm trying to make is that if you're sketching along with me right now, you're probably looking down at your page and seeing a doodle that you didn't think that you were capable of doing. That's the start. I've already doodled this thumbnail right here with a ballpoint pen. This is a big ballpoint pen. Whatever you're drawing right now, a car, a person, your pet right next to you, how does it feel? Just ask yourself, how does that feel to get that drawing out? You want to go to the next one, don't you? Good. So do I. And I want to go to the next one, and then the next one, and the next one. I already know I'm going to enjoy this process. So the other thing about sketching is that if you feel like you once had the passion, but you just don't know where that passion went, but think about why you enjoy putting lines down on paper. All right? Now, I had mentioned before that it can be therapeutic, which it really can be. And it can also be an outlet. So an outlet as in, if you have a very stressful day and you need to unwind, okay, you don't drink, you don't go party, you just kind of come home, maybe you're alone, and you just come home and you just watch Netflix and chill for a while. Well, those times you could be building a business, you could be writing down your plans for maybe a mentorship that you want to take, or maybe some sketches that you want to get done, maybe some big time goals, and ask yourself why you like drawing so much. Start sketching. And it doesn't have to be that long of a session either. Whenever I would draw, still to this day, like even if you see my big illustrations in my portfolio and stuff, yes, the individual drawings took about 10 to 15 hours. However, there's no way on this earth I would sit for 10 to 12 hours at once and get all those drawings done. No, I have to get up and walk around and breathe. You know, as artists, we kind of forget that there are clouds outside and there's nature, and I made it clear to myself, and I made a promise to myself to enjoy life outside of drawing as well. And I know the term gets thrown around loosely, the work-life balance, but it's true, and you got to balance those two. Not to go off on a little side tangent, but hey, if you work at home and your office is at home, chances are your desk is probably in your bedroom and or near the kitchen. Try your best to keep those two things separate. Keep all of that separate. It'll help you feel more professional, and then at the same time you won't be tempted to go to sleep. See, I'm just doodling. I'm just thinking along here, and I'm doodling, and I'm seeing what kind of drawings I can get out of this. So we got a crazy little reptile. Kind of looks like a dinosaur, you know? Kind of intrigued by that. Why don't we do another one? Another reptilian-like thumbnail. And you can see now that I'm on my third drawing. What are you guys doing right now? What kind of drawing are you doing? Are you finding this successful? Is it difficult? Do you find yourself thinking too hard? If you find yourself thinking too hard, you need to take a deep breath and free your mind and just start laying lines down without worrying about what those lines could eventually turn into, because we don't know what they could turn into. It's up to you to take those lines and just form them into something. And if they don't, that's okay. You can allow yourself to come back at a later time and maybe fill in the gaps and have something really cool there. I think that the legs for this creature are probably, they need to be a lot thicker than I drew them. But that's okay. This is my experimentation phase. So we'll see if this actually works. We'll get like a big head there. It's almost like a chameleon head. Maybe it's got these really big, I don't know, air sacs on the side of its head. I'm just going to end it. This is why I love ballpoint pen. I can indicate where the eyeballs are, just because if it's really light right there. And maybe the nose is right above the mouth slit, and then I'm not going to make it too complicated within the face. I just want to indicate where the face is. It's going to be similar to a Parasaurolophus, but I think this head feature is probably going to go straight up. So it's not a spike. It's not a deadly creature. I would still consider this a plant eater. But maybe it's one that you necessarily wouldn't want to get close to in anger, especially if it has its children nearby. You definitely don't want to anger it. It's almost like a giant dinosaur thing. You know what's happening, and this is me talking through my drawing and finding out things. It's probably standing in mud. So maybe I'll just put the mud there and then thicken the shoulders, because there is a lot of width to this body. I'm pretty happy with the head, so let's just continue with the head here. And then some of the face. I'm immediately thinking of the skulls, so I'm just going to bring in some bony landmarks. If you're not familiar with what bony landmarks are, when we do creature design, or just draw animals for that matter, we always think about the parts of the body that stick out the most. That's usually due to the underlying bone structure of the body. Those are bony landmarks. We humans have them. Elbows, knees, think about parts of our shoulder, our scapula, those type of places, bony landmarks. There we go. And I'm just very gently placing in some single row hatching with my pen, because you can't shade with a pen like you can with a graphite pencil. You could, but it would take twice as long. And I'm just turning my pen over to the side, and I'm sketching pretty lightly. Do you see how these very faint hair marks are going the same direction? I'm taking care of a larger section here because I'm going to go over it in a different direction. Okay, and as I'm putting more details into this thumbnail on the far right, I'm actually really liking this drawing, and I'm just going to keep going. So I'll explain a little bit of the anatomy too. So I think this deltoid, the scapular region of it, needs some love. So I'm just going to give it some shape here. And there's a lot of different places within this arm, because it's not a human arm, but there's a lot of different places in here where I can really start to put in some of these shapes. All right, so it's a very big hulking beast, that's for sure. So all of these muscles right in here in the front are the extensor carpi radialis. So that's what you would call it. Like if you were to study dinosaur anatomy, those of you that love dinosaurs that are listening right now, you know what I'm talking about. Comment below if you're a hardcore paleontologist in the making. I used to want to be a paleontologist when I was a kid. I loved dinosaurs. I still love dinosaurs. They hold a special place in my heart just because of how much they shaped my understanding of creature design when I was a little kid. I just loved it. My parents used to, if I was playing outside and my parents were watching the Discovery Channel or whatever, and a dinosaur show came on, they would yell out into the backyard my name to tell me to quickly get in here, and then they would get the VCR and tape it. Like it was just so much fun. Okay, my hand's not comfortable, so I'm gonna have to move my hand a little bit here. There we go, right like that. So you can see this is the instance where you would take a thumbnail that you're really intrigued by and you would just keep building off of it. Okay, so one of the coolest things about doing a page of thumbnails is that each page that you do tells a story, and it tells a journey too. So this is why I always tell you guys to number your sketches and to date the page. You want to watch that journey grow. I have an older video from last year, which is my 500 creature thumbnail challenge. Back in 2016, I believe, 17, I did just this self-contest for myself. That sounded so funny. But I would be like, okay, I'm going to do 500 creature thumbnails in the month of June, and I did it. It was a lot of fun. Okay, so we have, we got the creature's version of the brachialis. So right here on the side is the triceps brachii. It's pretty cool. It's also huge. Of course, quadrupeds and sauropods and all those massive dinosaurs from back in the day, they didn't have the biceps like we do. It's not shaped like a human leg. Or it's not shaped like a human arm. Okay, so if I'm doing shading with the pen, I'm tilting it to the side and I'm continuing the motion all the way up. I'm not too busy, or I'm not too worried about making sure that it looks just as smooth as a pencil, but I'm on my way there to at least try to fill in most of the gaps. There's a soft spot, even with the ballpoint pen, that you can shade and it feels like a pencil. If you turn it to the side, whatever your pen tip may be, you can start to feel it. And it doesn't feel like the pen is really coming in contact with the page, but it actually is, and it's starting to fill up those areas. So a very light touch is key with the ballpoint pen. Of course, we got the creature's massive trapezius right there. I'm not going to get into too much detail, just because everything in the back here isn't really important. I am going to put a really cool row of maybe like a bony structure or something that's running down the center of the back, but I need to keep the front of the face right here as the prominent point to study. I got to keep the front of the face here the focal point. So I'm going to put the other nostril coming out. It kind of looks like the eye, so take it how you want it. I might have made a little bit of mistake there, but I think overall it was pretty successful. There we go. And then what I'll do is I'll just put in a little bit of a coarse shadow on the side of the neck. That giant lump right here, I don't even know what that could be. Comment below and tell me what you think that could be. Maybe it holds water, kind of like a camel. Or maybe it makes noise. I don't know. It could blow up like a frog's throat, you know, when they croak. There's all kinds of possibilities. Hey, let me know what you guys are working on if you're currently in school, if you have taken some time off, if you're working in the industry right now. You know, I love hearing everybody's journey through their art, and I also love hearing when you're picking up a pencil for the first time again and you're starting to sketch. It really warms my heart, and I'm humbled every day at just the feedback that I get for these videos. So I know I'm a creature designer, and I know I have a lot of detailed work. The main thing that I want to show on this channel, despite my illustrations with a pencil and digital work and stuff, is, hey, if you just start with a thumbnail, anything is possible. And that's what I want you guys to realize. Anything is possible. This poor bird-like insect over here. I completely abandoned this little fella. Maybe I should give it some more love, huh? All right. Thanks, everybody. Hopefully that you liked this lesson. This was a lot of fun. I just drew 3 of them just to start. Let's see what you guys can do. And I'll see you in the next session.